Damian Willis Hutchinson. I coach for Shardlow United Rams, and my role is just developing young players and providing exit routes from grassroots to academy football for the ones who show potential. As like most young people, I started playing football at around 5-6 years old. That was due to the PE teacher I had at Dale Primary School, who was a big believer that kids should be active. So every morning before school I used to do football, cricket and various other sports. So I've just had a passion for all sports from a very young age. So playing for the school team, and then my first club was Sherwin Football Club, which is based in Pear Tree. That was quite a diverse club in the city. So you had people from Afro-Caribbean backgrounds, Irish, Pakistanis, you had Sikhs. So yeah, it was a really good club to be around. So I was just playing grassroots football, had a lot of ability, but because I was doing other sports, I didn't really pursue the football route. But played a lot of five-a-side as well, went to university, played university football, and like most people, when you get to the age of 20, 21, you try and still play, but then your body kind of shuts down. So I've always just played recreational football with friends and competitive football. I probably didn't achieve what a lot of people expected me to, but I've still enjoyed it, and it's led me to been involved in coaching, so I'm still involved in the game, so it's a win-win really. As I mentioned earlier, I've always had a love for various sports, so my natural route after school, when I realised I wasn't probably going to be a professional sports person, was to do a BTEC in sports science, and then I went on to university and did a degree in sports science. And I soon realised that the topics that I was interested in involved the practical side of things, teaching people and coaching people. So I got a few qualifications: sports leadership, football coaching qualifications, cricket, any sport, you name it, I had the qualification. So from leaving university, I went on to become a social inclusion officer with Derby City Council, and that involved working with people who were at risk from being excluded from sport. So that was ethnic minorities, it was women, it was people from low socio-economic backgrounds. So I was putting on sports sessions for them and just getting them active. Football being one of my main sports, I got involved in a local football team called Normanton All Stars at the age of 20, and I've just been involved in football and cricket ever since. So I've been coaching for about 19 years, and I realised that the area that I come from and grew up, it's important that the young people see somebody who's from that area that is doing positive and productive things. So it's enjoyment, but it's also been a role model and trying to inspire the younger generation, and that's all I've really wanted to do, is just to inspire people and just to show people that no matter where you're from, you can achieve good things and you can make a good reputation for yourself. Been involved in sport and football and cricket and coaching. I don't know, when you get to a certain age, I don't really think you think about your colour. I think you just do what you feels right. And when you're working with young people, I don't even think they see colour. If they're enjoying it, they just see the person. So if I'm honest, I haven't really had any negative issues since I've been coaching, but I'm aware that some people have had negative experiences. But for me as a coach, I've found it really good and enjoyable, and as long as that continues to happen, I'll always be involved. Whether I could coach higher up, has my skin colour preventing me from maybe having a higher coaching role in a different position? I don't know. Maybe it's down to me not really wanting to do it. So I think as an individual, I'm happy with what I'm doing, and I kind of know my kind of path. Even though I always get told that you should be coaching at a higher level, I think I have to take some responsibility in terms of what level I've been coaching at for the last kind of 15 to 20 years. And I think this is what I enjoy. I enjoy working with people who are lower down, who are not really got the opportunities. I'm not really too fussed about the elite level of coaching, because that's where the minority are. Not many kids and young people are gonna ever reach that kind of level. So for me, it's all about working with the kids who are on the ground, who you can see at the local multi-games use areas, the kids who you can see kicking football on the park just freely with their friends. They're the people I want to inspire. And if I can inspire them and they can at some stage get to an elite level, then I feel that's important, because a strong foundation and a strong positive first experience will give them the motivation and the desire to want to increase and participate at higher levels. So I believe when I'm touching the people that are on the ground, I believe it's a good stepping stone for them to have a good first experience. So I'm happy with that. It just depends on how you look at this question, because when you look at society as a whole, black people, I think they only make up 3% of the population. So if you're looking at society as a whole, then you can potentially say that maybe there isn't an underrepresentation. But when you look at football just as a sport and you realise that over 40% of the players that play in this country are ethnic minority or black, then I would definitely say there's a underrepresentation of black coaches in football in this country. And like I touched on about my own personal journey, is it down to them not wanting to coach at the elite level, or is it because there's certain barriers? I know from studies that I did when I was younger that black players play in certain positions, such as up front and on the wing, and they're positions that don't really get you to think about the game, whereas the central positions, which are mainly taken up by the white players, they're the ones that get you to think about tactics. And a study that I did when I was at university said there's a relation between positions played when you are having a career and going into coaching. So the ex-professionals who went into coaching, they played in those positions that were central on the football field. So as I've just said, those positions are mainly taken up by white players. So that means as a black player, your chances of being a coach afterwards is less likely. And I think there's various stereotypes across the board about black people in terms of they've got the power, they've got the speed, they've got the flair, but have they got the intelligence? And I think if that's a stereotype that surrounds black people, then they're not going to be trusted to coach at the elite level. They're not going to be trusted to manage at the elite level. So I think it's a mix between not wanting to do it and the racial stereotypes that are still there today about black people regarding if they're intelligent enough to coach at the highest level. Awareness needs to be there. So I think we need to actually actively target these groups, because if you think about somebody who has a certain disability, let's just say cerebral palsy, for example, we will target that group in terms of there's a cerebral palsy football team. So if we want to get people from diverse backgrounds into football and other sports, we need to actively target these groups and think of ways how can we want them to get involved, how can we help them get involved. Because if you look around Derby and the demographic makeup, there is a lot of diverse backgrounds all over the city. So I feel like, why couldn't we have a programme that was just for ethnic minorities, which might make them feel a lot more comfortable in terms of we're not going to be discriminated against. Also, it could be a project that is also run by someone that is an ethnic minority, so they feel part of something. Because I think if you're aware of discrimination against your religion or culture, then you're gonna be anxious about wanting to take part in certain things. So I think it's all about actively targeting groups, showing them that you care about their groups of people and that this is for them, and to encourage them. And as you know, if you're from a diverse background, that comes along with poverty a lot of the time. So things need to be affordable, they need to be accessible. I think sometimes we put on things but we don't think about the logistics in terms of how are people from diverse backgrounds who may not own a car, how are they going to get to these activities? If an activity is twice a week and is costing £5 a time, have they got £10 spare money? Because if you look at that over a month, that's £80. Over a year, that's like £1,000. Can people from diverse backgrounds, can they afford that kind of money? I know, been involved in a grassroots club and we're asking parents for £20-25 a month. That's not feasible for a lot of people, especially from a diverse background. So I think we need to really think about how we can support different groups, because it's not just about the colour of people's skin, it's about their social background. And if you watch the news, there's a lot about people struggling to pay their bills and things like that. So I really think the bigger picture is how can we provide more funding for grassroots sports, which will help the communities. I've worked on various projects in Normanton, Chaddeston, Sinfin, Allington, which were through Derby County and the community, and just charity groups from their local communities. And the young people used to come out in numbers, 30s and 40s in the rain. So young people want to take part in sport, but they just need the opportunities, and we need to help them as much as we can in terms of financial support and emotional support, and just the logistical support in terms of getting to the activity and making things as safe as possible and friendly as possible for them. I feel like when they're playing and they're doing well, then the support is there from the fans and the various kind of governing bodies and organisations. But I will always judge support when things aren't going too well. Like anything in life, like friendship, you know that a true friendship when you're not getting on too well. So I feel when black players are having a hard time, how are we stepping up for them? How are they being supported by the FA and other organisations? We're all well aware of show racism, the red card. We're all aware of kick it out. These are incentives that are there in the game, but are they just there to tick a box, or do we really care about the arena? The stadium has been a platform for people to express their kind of racial views, because we'll do something for a few weeks, take the knee or whatever it is, but for me, those kind of things don't really mean anything if the intention isn't from a kind of pure place. So I think it's down to the people higher up and really figuring out why are they doing these things. And obviously I can't ask these questions, but it'd be nice if there was somebody out there who could put a lot of pressure on them and ask, why are you doing these things? Because you might be ticking a few boxes, but it doesn't seem to be changing things. And as we know, players like Sol Campbell, he's been banging on for years about opportunities that he doesn't seem to be getting as a former black footballer in terms of going into management, and it just seems to be falling on deaf ears at the moment because the numbers aren't going up. They're not getting more opportunities. So until we see an increase in certain numbers, I have to say that I don't think they're supported that well. So if change happens, then we can say, yes, you listened and you've acted on what you've been told. So at the moment, I feel like certain things are decreasing in terms of what we hear in the stadiums and things, but for me, the style of racism has changed anyway. It's a lot more covert these days. That overt racism is decreasing because society is more diverse, but the covert racism that we are experiencing now in terms of the policies that are written and the procedures that are out there, I think that's where they're doing the damage to black players and potential black managers, is the covert racism. So I feel that's a massive issue. It's probably just as bad as the overt racism that we witnessed in the 70s and 80s. So until the managing directors change their ways, until we see more black people in roles where we are making decisions, and when I say this, I mean management, I mean club owners, I mean heads of recruitment at academies, pre-academy recruitment officers. We need to see more black people in these decision-making roles. It's okay to have one black coach or an Asian coach amongst 30, 40, but it's not enough. As I said earlier, 40% of the footballers in this country are black. So for me, if there's 10 coaches at an academy, 4 of them should be black. It's as simple as that. Not 1 or 2, it should be a minimum of 4. What can they do? That's the question, because it's not the social media platforms that are the issue, it's the people using the social media platforms. So for me, until the government actively comes out and tries to make a change in how people in society are thinking about each other, then you can try and ban people from social media, but they'll just come up with another account. There's always a way around certain things. So for me, society doesn't reflect social media is reflecting society. So like I said earlier, people's arena was the football stadium before. Now we've got all this technology. Their arena is a mobile phone, it's Twitter, it's Instagram, it's whatever platform they can be heard. If they can be heard by millions of people and they can say whatever they want to say, then that's what they're going to do. So we might have taken racism or decreased it from the football stadium, but it's just moved over to another platform. So it's always evolving, it moves with the times. As we know, humans are smart, they're not stupid. You know how to get the attention. Attention is a massive currency at the moment, and people know how to get attention from other people. They know how to manipulate. They know how to change people's mindsets. And I just think society needs a massive reshake. And we're all aware of slavery, and that's probably why there's certain views about certain cultures. And I just feel like people just ignore the fact. They will turn around and say, well, that was however many years ago. But like we know, everything's a vicious cycle. You learn from your parents, they learn from their parents. So what kind of messages are fed down? If I'm teaching my kids not to like a certain group of people, I can guarantee you that my grandkids are going to have the same views. So we just need to actively try and change people's minds, and how we do that, I really don't know. Like I was always told, I feel like black people are tolerated in a lot of places and they're not really celebrated. And I know, like I said before, people are smart, so people know how to bite their tongue as well. So if you've got certain views, a smart person will probably keep it to themselves. They won't say it to your face. But it's how do you change somebody's inside and how they truly feel about another individual. So I think a lot of things need to be worked on in terms of people's mindsets and just kind of what's in an individual's heart. I think it's a lot deeper than social media. I think that is just an easy way to express your feelings without doing it to someone's face. It's a cowardly way, really. It's really important. I think over the decades, I think black people have achieved a lot of things in many different walks of life, not just sport and entertainment, but they've invented things. They've done a lot of humanitarian work, and they've inspired a lot of different groups of people. If you look at society today, I think we can see the influence that black culture has on the young people, and I think it's important that they are celebrated. I know in football, I think it was Mr. Wharton was the first black footballer in 1889, so he was the first one through the wall, and he took all the bumps and the bruises, and he built the foundation and laid the foundation for the likes of John Barnes and Ian Wright and Cyril Regis. So yeah, it's important to celebrate the ones who were the first ones through, because it inspires us to know that, you know what, no matter where you come from, no matter what people's opinions are about you, if you've got the courage and the desire and the determination, you can achieve whatever you want. And as long as you're focused, I think, yeah, you can achieve a lot of things. And it's all about that awareness, not just amongst black people themselves, but the awareness that Black History Month gives other religions and communities. And if someone did have any kind of negative views, if they were to do the research, if they were to kind of be aware of Black History Month, it might change their views. And that's what we want to do. We want to change the stereotypes and views that are out there about different groups of people. So yeah, it's important we have Black History Month, because there's a lot of pioneers that are out there. I know that when I was growing up, I looked to my role models were black role models, whether it was John Barnes, whether it was Gordon Greenidge, the cricketer, Brian Lara, Nelson Mandela, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. So that's what was in my household, and that was kind of what I kind of looked up to. And a lot of people had certain things on their wall when they were growing up, but I admit, as a 12-year-old, I had a Nelson Mandela speech on my wall, and it was his No Easy Walk to Freedom speech. So as a 12-year-old reading things like that, my mindset was completely different to a lot of young people. And it was a very inspiring speech that I used to read most days, and it just makes you realise that they can try and lock you up and they can try and shackle you, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and you can always reach that mountaintop. And I believe Black History Month gives people a lot of inspiration from lots of different backgrounds, not just black people.